Hyundai Motor Manufacturing Alabama's President and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. NAKIzm, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Montgomery, Alabama, and to HMMA, where we build the award-winning Sonata and Elantra vehicles. Now, before I give you a little information about HMMA this morning, I want to introduce another member of our executive management team who's joined us this morning. Standing in the back by the doors is our Senior Manager of Public Relations, Mr. Robert Burns. Now, all of you are automotive media veterans, and I'm sure you have visited many OEM plants across the country and possibly across the world. But I still think that you will be amazed at the level of advanced technology that we employ here at HMMA that allows us to build nearly 400,000 units a year working a 3-shift production schedule. We started building cars here in May of 2005, and we recently passed the 2.5 million mark in total production. Now, because you will see a lot of information and a lot of things in the plant during the abbreviated tour that we have planned for you, as Jim mentioned, we're going to begin this morning with a video presentation of our entire manufacturing process, which will help orient you as you take the tour this morning. Again, we are delighted to host you here in Montgomery. We're glad you're at HMMA for this ride and drive event. We hope that you have a safe and enjoyable day. You have a beautiful day to drive in the Alabama countryside. And with that, Jim, let's roll the video.
Welcome to Hyundai Motor Manufacturing Alabama, one of the most highly advanced auto plants ever built. HMMA employs over 2,500 well-trained team members. Each vehicle is assembled using the perfect balance of modern technology and human skill. The process starts in the stamping shop. Large steel coils are rolled into a machine where they are cut to specific lengths called blanks. The blanks, which are thinner than a dime, make their way across an automated conveyor system to the largest pieces of equipment in the plant, the stamping presses. The huge presses simultaneously squeeze these blanks into various body panels using massive dies and over 5,400 tons of pressure. The body panels are then sorted and stored by an automated system until they are needed in the welding shop. Once inside the welding shop, the automated dance of more than 280 robots begins, picking up body panels and pieces, holding them in place, and welding them together. First, the underbody and front structures are built. Then the floor pan and body sides are assembled. These parts, along with the roof, come together in the framing fixture, and the shell of the vehicle is formed. Team members attach hinges, doors, hoods, and trunks, and inspect the vehicle body for smoothness of the metal finish. Each weld is individually examined for quality. Next, the new vehicle body will spend 9 hours in the paint shop. First, it takes a plunge into the electrocoat bath, where it is coated to prevent rust. This unique and innovative process actually rolls the vehicle 360 degrees, thoroughly coating the entire body. Once dry, it's ready for the painting process. More than 80 robots apply sealer, primer, one of 15 environmentally friendly water-based paint colors, and a clear coat using fine mist nozzles. The paint molecules are electrically charged, causing them to cling to the vehicle body, reducing overspray. All team members in the paint shop wear protective overalls, gloves, and headgear to keep even the smallest particle of dust from compromising the quality of the finished paint job. Once painted, the vehicle bodies are baked to dry and seal the paint. Then they are inspected and sent to General Assembly. While the vehicle body is moving to General Assembly, its engine and transmission are being prepared in one of two engine shops. Unlike many other manufacturers, HMMA builds its own 4-cylinder advanced gasoline direct injection engines. Castings of steel crankshafts and aluminum engine blocks and heads arrive from a supplier and are machined to precise measurements by 225 machines under the critical eye of HMMA team members. The aluminum parts are lighter in weight, which increases fuel efficiency. Precise computerized testing is performed in the on-site lab to ensure all parts meet Hyundai's exacting specifications. The machined engine parts are assembled along a conveyor by team members using special tools and procedures. Completed engines are tested before being married to a transmission and sent to General Assembly to be installed in the vehicle. The General Assembly shop is the largest of all the HMMA shops. Over half of our team members work in this area. Each newly painted body is taken to the trim area, where wiring, brake controls, and other parts are connected to the cabin, under the hood, or in the trunk. The doors are removed and sent to another line, where speakers, locks, power windows, and door seals are installed. During the assembly process, a quiet conveyor keeps the vehicle moving unless quality or safety are in question. Ergonomically designed work areas help maximize productivity and reduce team member fatigue. Vehicles are raised and lowered automatically, making it easier and quicker for team members to attach parts. Approximately every minute, an 18-wheel truck trailer full of parts comes to the plant from one of our suppliers. These parts are delivered to the right place at just the right time in a process we call just-in-time manufacturing. The vehicle's body and engine finally meet in the chassis area of the General Assembly shop, where the gas tank, engine, transmission, exhaust, suspension, and brake systems are connected to the rest of the vehicle. The battery, seats, tires, and glass are installed before the doors are put back on the exact same vehicle they came off of. Finally, coolant, gas, and other fluids are added, and the finished vehicle is started for the first time. In quality control, the new vehicle is thoroughly checked. Alignment, electrical systems, seats, dashboards, and cabins are inspected. Roll booths test the acceleration and braking systems. Each car is then driven on our 2.3-mile test track, where trained drivers check for rattles, slippage, rough handling, sound system quality, and other issues. There's even a hill to test the emergency brake, a shower test that checks for leaks, and the paint finish is examined one last time. After all testing is complete, the finished vehicle is loaded onto trucks or trains for delivery to more than 900 Hyundai dealerships across North America. HMMA can produce 300,000 vehicles a year. That's more than 1,000 a day, and each one is backed by the Hyundai Assurance Program. Every vehicle is assembled by skilled team members who take pride in providing customers one of the most reliable cars on the road today. At Hyundai, the secret behind our success is not in our advanced assembly systems or state-of-the-art robotic technology. Our success lies within our team members. The next time you're in the market to purchase a quality vehicle, make it an award-winning Hyundai.
Go Hyundai! All right then, good morning everybody. Good morning.
Welcome again. We really appreciate you coming here. We know you're going to have a great time. We had a really fun dinner last night. It's great to break bread with some good friends. Good to see you all here. About the shirts. So Jim, I got here a day early. Jim handed me a bag of shirts, and he was wearing one of them. He said, "These are what all the presenters are wearing." Don't worry, it's not exactly what I thought they were going to be when I ordered them online. He said, "They look a lot better on than they do in the bag." He was wearing one. I just didn't have the heart to tell him they really don't look a lot better on. So I just dug deeper in my bag. But anyway, it's really hard to believe that next year will be our 30th year in the United States. We were founded in 1985. We started selling cars in 1986, and the fabled one-trick pony XL was our claim to fame originally, one model, and now we're a mainstream manufacturer. We got 11 models, and we've obviously got a magnificent manufacturing facility here in Montgomery. We've got another facility down the road. If you drove from Atlanta, you drove by the Kia plant that we share with them in West Point, Georgia. So huge footprint in the United States that it didn't have before. This plant was actually founded in 2002. We started building cars here in May of 2005. The video said they've got capacity for 300,000 units, and that's absolutely true. They built 398,000 units for us last year. They're running, the video also said 2,500 employees. It's over 3,000 employees now because they added a third shift. They're running 3 shifts, Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day around the clock. And it's amazing when you go through the plant how clean and orderly and quiet it is. And when you understand that there's somebody in there building cars 24 hours every day of the week, about 1,550 cars. We build, obviously, Sonata here. This is our 3rd generation of Sonata. 7th generation in total, 3rd generation that's been built in Montgomery, Alabama. And all of our Sonatas, with the exception of the hybrid, are built here. We also build Elantra here. About 50% of the Elantras that we sell in the United States are built here. So in total, between those 2 car lines, this plant produces just about 50% of the volume that we sell in the United States. So it's critically important to us as we continue to grow. And grow, we have a little bumps and bruises along the line up till about late 90s. And then from there, it's been really pretty consistent growth for us and sustained growth for us. We broke 700,000 2 years ago. This year, we're going to do about 745,000 vehicles. That'll be the 3rd consecutive year over 700,000. It'll be another all-time sales record for us, and that's the 5th consecutive year that we've set all-time sales record. The market share bars have dropped a little bit, and that's a function of we did really good. We grew really fast when the market was sort of depressed, but we have constrained global capacity. As the market has recovered and grown back, we're continuing to set sales records, but it's hurt our market share. So obviously, we're looking for every possible way to increase production capacity, and the plant here has been phenomenally successful in producing every single vehicle they possibly can. So May, we just finished May. It was our best month in our 28-year history of Hyundai. We did just under 71,000 vehicles, up from last year, best ever month, and again, we're on track to do 745,000. The pie chart here gives you a really good idea about how important this plant is to HMA. And if you combine Elantra and Sonata, and this would also be the Elantras that are built in Korea, but it's basically 60% of our volume comes from those 2 vehicle lines. If you throw in Santa Fe, which is 75 miles down the road in Georgia, 75% of our total volume is done within this manufacturing footprint of about a 100-mile radius. So pretty amazing impact on our future. So a lot of success factors for our sustained growth. Primary amongst them is award-winning product. We're a challenger brand, so we can't tell people we got great products and we have great quality. We have to have third-party validation of that, and this is just 2014 accolades. We have, what has driven our growth over the last 5 years is other people saying how good the Hyundai products are, and it's been really, really important for us. Another critical factor is quality. Just last week, J.D. Power published their 2014 initial quality study, IQS study. We did amazingly well. We're number 4 overall, behind Porsche, Jaguar, and Lexus. Pretty good company to be keeping. We were number 1 amongst the non-premiums. That's the 3rd time in the last 10 years that Hyundai has been number 1 amongst the non-premiums. We had 3 segment winners, Accent, Elantra, and Genesis. All were top in quality their segment, and two other big volume vehicles for us, Sonata and Santa Fe, were a close second. So very broad, very deep commitment to quality at Hyundai, and it's been very, very ongoing for the last 10 years. We're sort of proud of this. So the absolute best vehicle in the industry in terms of problems per 100 was the Porsche Panamera, about a $90,000 vehicle. The number 2 vehicle in the entire industry in terms of problems per 100 is the Hyundai Accent at $14,000. So it just tells you we're not just focused on premium quality, we're focused on quality in our entry-level vehicles as well. So very proud of that, and a very important success factor for us is our quality. Another thing equally as important is we're going to talk about our prospects and our customers in a minute. They've changed dramatically over the last 5 or 6 years as our products have transformed. We challenged our dealers. We said, look, you're going to be seeing a completely different customer coming in. They're going to have higher expectations. You're going to have to up your game in terms of how you take care of them and treat them throughout their ownership experience. And we made huge strides last year in the J.D. Power Sales Satisfaction Survey, where we jumped from ranked 11th in the industry amongst non-premium brands to number 5, and we had one of the biggest year-over-year gains. So the dealers accepted that challenge. We're delivering a great sales experience, a great service experience, and that's helping to fuel our growth as well. And obviously, loyalty is critically important. We grew by gaining conquest customers, but at the same time we were gaining conquest customers 5 consecutive years. We've had the most loyal customer base as well, too. So brand loyalty is absolutely critical for us. When you combine really high brand loyalty with really good conquest ratios, you're going to be a growing brand. That's what's happened for us. So it's really all about product. It's amazing how busy this year has been. I started in January in this position, and in April, early April, just about 2 months ago, many of us were in Scottsdale, Arizona, launching the all-new Genesis. And the Genesis has been phenomenally successful. We talked about it in Scottsdale that we thought, based on, Mike's going to talk about a lot of the structural rigidity and everything today on the Sonata, but we thought we were going to get a government top crash pick, and in fact we did from IAHS, and it's a segment first. Nobody else in that premium segment is a top safety pick, so we're very proud of that. And the Genesis has been phenomenal. The chart on your left, we're the blue. You can see what's happened to our market share since the Genesis was launched. We're outselling basically everything except for the BMW 5. We're outselling the Cadillac, and we've done that. Transaction prices are on the top here. Our transaction prices, it's a lot more cars, it's a more expensive vehicle. Transaction prices have gone up, and incentive spending has gone down. It's the perfect alignment to start. So you know you've got a great product when you can dramatically increase volume and share, and do that while you're increasing price and reducing incentives. So it's a nice combination. Very good success of the vehicle initially. Next came the fuel cell. We have a hydrogen fuel cell on the Tucson. We're the only company that's got a mass-produced vehicle. There are many fuel cells running around in pilot fleets out there. We build this vehicle on the same line that we build the internal combustion Tucson in Ulsan, Korea. On June 10th, we delivered the first vehicle to a retail customer. This is not a test fleet. This is an individual consumer driving our car, and it was mass-produced. So we think it's great technology. We love the technology. We're working very closely with the state of California to try to expand the infrastructure so that there's more available stations. That's the only thing that's holding us back on this technology. We think it's not a replacement for electric. We think it's the next electric, and that it offers everything electric does, but it doesn't have compromises in terms of packaging the batteries, in terms of refueling times, in terms of range and things like that. So we think there's a great future with this technology, and we're on the leading edge delivering these vehicles to retail customers now. Before we talk about the headliner that we're here to talk about today, the 2015, we really should look backward a little bit and talk about how important the 2011 Sonata was, what we call the YF Sonata was, to Hyundai and really to the industry. It was a groundbreaking vehicle for us. It really showed the mid-size segment that you didn't have to be, or it didn't have to look like an appliance to be in the mid-size segment. It was the first attempt at a really highly styled mid-size car. It was the first attempt at saying that, you know what, we don't think you need a 6-cylinder engine in a mid-size car. We think a 200 horsepower 4-cylinder engine will be just fine, and it was. And we proved for the first time that in order to get a beautiful car, you don't have to sacrifice package. In order to get a powerful car, you don't have to sacrifice fuel economy. So it's sort of the best of all possible worlds, no compromises. The accolades followed. It was commercially successful, obviously well accepted by consumers. And for us on the right here, you see it's very closely correlated. What people think of Hyundai, of Sonata, their opinion of the Sonata model, really is reflective and correlates very highly with what they think of the Hyundai brand. So this is a very important vehicle for us in terms of volume and in terms of being able to lift our brand with it. Obviously, we went from fairly modest beginnings in the 14 to 30,000 range with Sonata to now our 7th generation vehicle. We're consistently selling 200,000 vehicles a year. We've done it 3 years in a row. And for the first time, we're really relevant in that segment, and the kingpins like Camry and Accord and the others really stood up and took notice. And if you look at the vehicles that are in that segment now, much more highly styled. We've changed the way vehicles come to market in that segment over the last several years. So YF was important for us, it was important for the industry, and it sets a really good groundwork for the new LF that we're going to talk about today. Most importantly, it changed our buyer profile. In 2009, before Sonata was launched, the average age of the Hyundai buyer was 61 years old. Today, the average age is 56 years old. In terms of college education, 45% before Sonata, 49% after Sonata. Income from 77,000 to 81,000, a more affluent buyer, and the diversity, the ethnic diversity of the composition of our owners went from about 11% to 18%. So a completely different buyer is coming into our showrooms to buy this vehicle than was previously. And that's very important for growing the brand. So, the headliner today, the 2014 LF. We've got a lot to talk about. 3 things I want you to keep in mind as we go through the presentations, as you go through the plant, as you drive the car. 3 development objectives that we focused on was number 1, what we call modern and sophisticated design. Fluidic Sculpture 2.0. Chris Chapman's here. Chris is going to talk a lot about that. We do not have to start all over again with each new model like we've done in the past. We can build off what's really successful and evolve from what's really successful instead of trying to reinvent ourselves every time. And that's really what we think we've done with the LF. Mike O'Brien's going to talk about vehicle dynamics and vehicle rigidity. Really, really important for us. We think driver confidence is absolutely critical. The driver has to feel confident in his vehicle, and we think the best way to do that is through dynamics and rigidity, and you're going to see that in spades, and Mike's going to take you through that. And finally, we think thoughtful features are really important. We call it class above safety and technology features, things that you're going to find in this vehicle that you would not expect to find in a mid-size segment, you would expect to find in a Genesis-type vehicle. We used Genesis as a sibling relationship to pilot some of these technologies that now you're going to see in the Sonata, so it's been very important for us. So with no further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Huang up. He has been with the Sonata since the start. He's a very proud father today as we launch his baby, and he's got a lot to talk about. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the project manager of the Sonata, and this is a great honor to be here to express directly my kids Sonata to you as a project manager. Then I'm afraid that my English is not good, so my iPhone will assist me then. When I first started RF project around 4 years ago, then it was quite a challenge to decide the direction or focus on development of the new vehicle. At the time, I think YF Sonata was received quite well all around the world, I think. And I was expected myself to benchmark other competitors like Camry or Accord, and I continued to and I continued to how to compete with the next generation vehicle of the Sonata's competitors. As a result, I decided to go back to the basic and focused on original core performance of a vehicle. Then we completely changed it the chassis and the body structures of the Sonata. And now then we can get our target, the not only performance but the safety, I think. And emphasis was put on the design and the development of intuitive user interface based on our human-machine interface philosophy, so that the Sonata was easy to use in any situation, I think. By doing this, we were able to address some of the issues the previous wife Sonata has been improved and completed, I think. The design was upgraded even further based on Hyundai's fluid sculpture 2.0 to make the Sonata even more luxuriously than before. I'm also the project manager of the Genesis, so much of the development the direction are the same with the new Genesis and the new Sonata. I'm certain that NF Sonata driving experience will not be similar to German or Japanese cars. It will be a beginning of the Hyundai's unique driving experience. Then I hope you enjoy today's driving. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the shirts. Can I borrow your hat, Gene? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Chapman. I'm the Chief Designer at Hyundai Design North America in Irvine, California, and I'm here to talk a little bit about a very high-pass, very fast overview of the Sonata Design story we call Inner Force, and it's sort of a story that talks about confidence and the building of a brand and the maturing of a brand. It's interesting, about 3 or 4 years ago, you could Google the word fluidic sculpture, actually the two words fluidic sculpture, and you would see a mix of maybe some Hyundai cars in there and some images of water or some nature pictures and so forth. I just did this a few days ago. I just simply Googled the word fluidic, and you can see nothing but Hyundai vehicles. And I think this is real testimony to the brand recognition that we built over the years, and it's a particularly strong identity that we have, and I think we're going to continue on the momentum of building what we stand for. So it's not about revolution, it's about evolution for us at Hyundai. And when I look at some of the quotations from my own designers and how we're going to take fluid sculpture into the future, and some of even, quite frankly, some of the quotations that from you folks over the years, we sort of highlight words like crisp and balanced and refined, modern and taut, and this sort of leads into a direction of what we consider to be modern premium for the Hyundai brand. We're going to do this by infusing more precision and control. So we want to keep the momentum, we want to keep the energy of fluidic sculpture, we want to own that. It's an ownable factor, but we want to uptick the quality in our vehicles, and we want to create a balance within our vehicles so that the outside of the car matches what the performance on the underside of the car as well. So in total, a very balanced vehicle. So if you look at the purpose of fluidic sculpture throughout the years, 2009 to 2013, basically it had a purpose of establishing a family look. It was really about making a mark. I often talk about sort of arriving at the party and kicking the door in and arriving in bright colors like this shirt, some really weird socks or something like that, but it was really about introducing the Hyundai brand to the global market. Moving on from 2014 forward, we want to create this idea of modern premium, and we refine our fluidic aesthetic and establish a reputation of quality and precision beyond expectation. The company has been known as a value-based brand, and from a design perspective, we want to build a picture, basically a four-sided frame, which has started with the Genesis and it continues on with the new Sonata. No better place, actually, honestly, to start than with the interior. There's a couple of interior sketches that I want to show you and share with you today. Industrial design is much about having serious fun, and in the interior, it's also having
a wonderful sense of sculpture, but it also has the strongest element in terms of purpose. And it's very important to understand that when you're controlling a vehicle. On the left-hand side, you'll see previous Sonata, previous Genesis, and you can see sort of a direct correlation. This is one of my favorite slides, actually. It pertains not only to the interior, but to the exterior as well. On the left upper-hand side, you can see the previous Sonata. Very expressive, upward carrying lines, very attention-grabbing, certainly. But what we're doing is we're moving into a direction where we're appreciating the fact that at the end of the day, we need to control this car, and it's basically set up in a more architectural type of fashion with a very horizontal layout, a very wide center console area that gives a sense of premium, and a very stable horizontal, I'd call waterline or even a clothesline kind of a setup, which kind of creates this idea of, well, at least this creates this reality of more control. In regards to HMI, many manufacturers talk about this. Our three key principles are centered around this idea of being intuitive, about being comfortable, and about being safe. I think safety is a paramount factor that we're moving forward with, and I think personally and quite honestly, I think that if we can as an industry turn safety into a sexy aspect to developing our cars, I think that's when we're really going to make some groundbreaking achievements. So as we look to the Sonata, left to right, all the way around sort of clockwise, you can see how we've created a driver-oriented cockpit, a slight pitch to the center stack towards the driver. All of the controls are laid out in a very consistent manner so that we have the AV monitor, the audio controls, HVAC controls, and so forth, separated off into the various, well thought out areas with good reach control, etc. And quality materials that not only give you the sense of comfort and control, but also the sense of solitude and silence. In regards to the exterior, designers often think analogous to inspirational imagery. And for the Sonata, it wasn't about like who can do more sculpture, right? The predictable method would be to take our fluidic sculpture and add even more and add even more and just paste it on and paste it on. In design, we're looking to uptick again the premium factor of our whole car lineup, and if any of you have ever had the experience of seeing a professional athlete in a well-tailored suit, it's quite almost a religious experience. They're so fit, so toned, and when they go walking by, it was a very inspirational kind of an image for our designers. So like an athlete in a well-tailored suit, this is sort of the target picture that we had for the new LF Sonata. So here's some design sketches that we had up top for the car. You can see precision athlete from the very beginning, and some of the sketches and post-production sketches of the car, trying to give it that tight suit kind of a feeling. Actually, the car, as I think Dave mentioned, has a little bit more in common with its big brother, the Genesis, in terms of surface spirit and design quality to the Genesis than it does with the outgoing vehicle. And we consider it kind of the maturing of the brand. It's a really taut line surface. It's a really planted feeling to the car, beautiful silhouette, a wide stance. We address the width of the vehicle quite substantially. You'll see this in the drive as you take your journey today, especially from the rear and the rear three-quarter. The outgoing Sonata had kind of a tucked kind of a rear end, and we've kind of given this a lot more of a stable kind of a stance. We've widened the car quite significantly, both front and rear, and given it a grille that has this kind of prominent, proud kind of a feel. Just some call-outs here for some of the key design elements that you'll see sort of carried on from the original Sonata. Actually, this is, or the last generation Sonata, this is kind of one of those vehicles that we didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater for the first time at Hyundai. And you can see some recognizable key elements, such as the silhouette of the car. It's a very coupe-like C-pillar. What I call the saber line, you can see in this upper left-hand picture, the belt line, chrome line that goes through the front quarter panel and reaches all the way to the headlight. see side-by-side comparison. Kind of an upright nose, very, very proud, a little bit less rounded off in the front nose area, so it's a little bit more crisp. The main feature character line actually extends a little bit more over the front wheel as opposed to crashing into the front wheel. It kind of gives the car a bit more length, a bit more elegance, a bit more dignity to the entire vehicle. Front wide grille, we still have this hex grille, a little bit less generic kind of a feel. You'll see a lot of the Hyundais where we have the hexagonal grille here with this nice little turn down in the upper corners of the vehicle, and just a little bit less elasticity in terms of the lower intake and DRL elements. And in the rear, you can kind of see slightly different taillight treatment. We don't want to get all matchy-matchy from the front to the rear of the car, so in the front of the vehicle you can kind of see a headlight resemblance with the drop down in the corner, and on the taillight on the original YF Sonata, the last outgoing one, sort of the drop down there too, but we wanted to change it up a little bit and get that kind of wide feeling. In terms of details, I'd like you to take a look at the car very closely today as much as possible, because things like the headlights, this sort of really expresses where the company is going in terms of detail. So we have a very sophisticated and precise headlamp delivering a technical but expressive kind of an intent. I love removing, I've been speaking to a few people today, I love removing things and making design simple, but at the same time retaining the story of the car. And as much as you can remove, and you hear this a lot from designers, you hear this a lot from film editors, musicians, etc. As much as you can remove is a very, very important aspect to achieving a very, very beautiful look and a very, very strong look without removing all the story. Yeah, and so it's not just about aero, it's not just about performance, it's not just about reliability, it's about creating a premium feel through our fluidic sculpture design philosophy, and basically we call it inner force. So thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce now Mr. Michael Bryant.
Good morning. You may not believe it, but I was the only one that stood up here yesterday with the glow-in-the-dark shirt. They let me down. He was shamed to wear it today. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the car itself, and then John Shun will come up and give you a lot of detail about specification and what the car, how the car is configured. So, a lot has changed since early 2010 when we launched our previous Sonata, the YF. At that time, the mid-size car market was 1.6 million. Today, the mid-size car market is about 2.4 million. Then manufacturers focused more on attributes, maybe a little bit less on design and other attributes. Today, virtually every car in the segment has been renewed, and there's been a renewed focus on design. Certainly, when you look at the consumer data for our outgoing Sonata, design was a key purchase reason. It was a reason why we went from about 120 sales a year, 120,000. So the last 2 years of the previous, 2 generations ago, the NF Sonata, we were selling about 120,000 units a year. We jumped to over 200,000 units a year immediately after launching this previous Sonata, the YF, the car we're selling down right now. And design was a big part of that. And certainly it had an effect on the industry. Other manufacturers followed and added quite a bit of emphasis on design in their new products, and you see them here. So it really changed the market for us. It changed where we wanted to take this car. And what we need to talk about today is how do we position this car moving forward? Chris Chapman talked about fluidic sculpture 2.0, and it really is all about refinement, sophistication, and premiumness, moving the car into a direction where it seems more valuable. And that was what Chris was showing a little bit earlier, is the basic car, how we move in that new direction, and really it's our new opportunity for market expansion. It's our way of finding a new space for this car, finding new customers for the car, finding a new opportunity to sell more. However, we can't deny that the aggressive look of the outgoing model certainly attracted a lot of people to our showrooms, and we need to acknowledge how we're going to do that moving forward. So what this chart here depicts is a clinic. So everybody does clinics, all of our competitors do them. About 255 people, I think, attended this clinic. They looked at a number of mid-sized vehicles. These are people that either recently purchased a car, they went through the shopping process, or people that are going to buy a car in the next couple of months. And what you see here is basically an attribute chart. This is a statistical array. Consumers pick words that match the cars that they were viewing. And from the center line, the distance away depicts how much different that word is from other vehicles. And then the words themselves are aligned with the vehicles as they selected vehicles that match those words. And what you see here is the vehicle that's in the upper right-hand corner is the basic Sonata that Chris Chapman was showing you a few minutes ago. And so they called it things like sophisticated, high quality, and confident. That's the basic direction of a more premium direction that we want to take, which is really new for us, and it really will bring customers to us that are looking for something that looks more expensive and looks more valuable. Now, when you look at the green circle at the lower right-hand corner, this is a car I'm going to show you in just a moment. So what I think the British they call a kit. We've created a different direction for this car as well, and we call that Sonata Sport. It's also represented in the Sonata Turbo, but it's a more aggressive look for the car. It gives it a much more prominent stance, and so it's for those customers that are looking for a stronger, more assertive design emphasis. And you can see here the red area, which is the basic Sonata that Chris was showing you a moment ago, Fluidic Sculpture 2.0. Customers called that the car I need. The green area for the Sonata Sport and the Turbo that I'll show you in just a moment, the car I want. So it's just a more aggressive interpretation of Sonata and Fluidic Sculpture, and it allows us to basically expand the market footprint. So here's how it's specifically different on the outside. So the basic car that Chris was showing you is on the left-hand side, which is the Sonata SE and the Eco model that you'll drive today. For the Sport, we have a more aggressive grille, more aggressive bumper with a very aggressive wide lower air intake. The side of the vehicle, the rocker panel area on the basic model, the SE and the Eco and the Limited, has more of a fuselage shape, so the rocker panel tucks under like a boat or a fuselage shape. On the Sport model, it's more of a waterfall shape, and you can see that chrome accent in it. So the side of the vehicle drops down vertically and gives it a more aggressive planted on the ground appearance. And then the rear, we will have a single exhaust for the SE, the 2.4, and then for the Sport and the Turbo, we either have a dual or a quad exhaust. So it gives it, again, a more sporty and aggressive appearance. For the interior, it's quite a bit different as well. So we have leather seats for the 2.0 Turbo with sport bolsters, a higher bolster and contrasting stitching. You'll see that in a few minutes. The instrument cluster has a much more mechanical appearance. It's got 6 o'clock needle orientation for a more sporty image. We have a D-cut steering wheel, a unique gear shift lever, aluminum pedals, and we have a 3D appearance to the interior trim panels. In terms of dimensions, overall length, we're very average in the segment, so we're right about in the middle. Where we're outstanding is width, best-in-class width for a very aggressive, planted, confident feeling, as well as wheelbase. We tie for the best wheelbase, and again, that long wheelbase gives the vehicle a sense of being planted, and it gives it a sense of being solid and confident. We were able to do this and still have the best passenger compartment size, class-leading passenger compartment, class-leading total interior volume, class-leading cargo volume. And we did that when we made the big platform change last generation by deleting the V6 engine. So when we deleted the V6 engine, we're able to move the cowl forward. We're able to take what used to be engine space and convert that into passenger space. So if you look at many of our competitors, if you look at Accord and Camry, they have roughly between a 15 and 20% V6 mix. However, their cars have to be designed to package a very large V6 engine. And that large V6 engine takes away what could be passenger space. In the case of Sonata, by dropping the V6 engine, by going to a 2-liter turbo engine with similar performance as our V6 competitors, we're able to convert that engine space into passenger space. And the result is this class-leading passenger volume and total interior volume that we have with this car. And you can see here, class-leading front headroom, class-leading front legroom. Again, that was by moving the cowl forward after deleting the V6 engine and having a smaller engine package space. We also have the only mid-sized car that's classified by the EPA as a full-size car in terms of volume. So very good in terms of comfort, very good in terms of storage. There's three areas I'll talk about today, and then hand things off to John Shund, and he'll give you a lot of specific information about the car. But it's all about the basic vehicle structure and how that contributes to what you'll see today when you test drive the car. There's a strong focus on a very rigid body, and we'll talk about that. There's a very strong focus on improving vehicle dynamics. The head of global R&D, Vice Chairman Young, has talked about this many times, and it's his sense of HMI in a different way, human-machine interface in a different way. Usually when you think about HMI, you think about how you interface with a NAVI system or how you interface with HVAC. In his words, HMI is all about every interaction you have with the vehicle, whether it's pushing the accelerator and feeling the instantaneous G feeling, it's just turning the steering wheel and feeling that yaw motion. It's all about the activity that you input, whether it's turning the wheel or pushing the brake or pushing the accelerator, matching what the vehicle does. So the output is what the customer expects, and that's what driver confidence is all about. So we'll talk about new suspension changes, we'll talk about new steering, and in terms of crashing worthiness, we'll talk about things that we've done to the body to better manage crash energy and improve occupant safety. So let's talk about suspension first. Geometry on the front suspension was significantly revised to improve basically the stiffness of the front suspension, to improve turn-in and center feel of the steering. The rear suspension, we went from a 3-link suspension to a 4-link suspension. And that was all about improving high-speed stability and high-speed turn-in feeling. Again, all about driver confidence. So geometry change on the front suspension, completely new rear suspension, going from a 3-link to a 4-link. The steering. We have a column-mounted motor-assisted power steering unit that's been heavily re-engineered for the base Sonata, the 2.4 SE and Eco, all the 2.4 models. So what we've done is we've increased the column shaft thickness, we've increased the rack bar stiffness and thickness, and we've done that to reduce the vagueness that comes with what's called stack-up tolerances. So when you turn the steering wheel, we want to make sure that you get immediate effect, that there's good communication, and the changes that were made to this were made with the effect of improving responsiveness and on-center feel and turn-in feel. At the same time, we went from a 16-bit to a 32-bit computer for the steering unit, and that allows us a much wider range of tuning capability, so we can do a much better job of getting better feedback and road feel. Now, for the turbo models, we have a completely new steering system. On the turbo models, we've gone to a rack-mounted motor-driven power steering unit. That cuts out all of the tolerance buildup with the steering column and rack. It's a dual-pinion mechanism. And so this even improves further communication with the road, driver feedback in terms of how the steering responds to input. And this is the first application of this kind of system on Sonata. In terms of the body, over 50% of the body uses advanced high-strength steel. That's a 41% improvement in body rigidity from the outgoing model, a 35% improvement in terms of flex versus the outgoing model. When you look at structural adhesives, we have a wide use of aerospace-grade industrial adhesives. The old model used about 11 meters. The new model, 119 meters. So you can see, compared to Passat, a little less than, a little over 9 meters. The Genesis, very close to 123. So this structural adhesive not only helps in creating a very rigid body, but also helps in terms of NVH as well. For NVH, we've done quite a bit in terms of applying this high-strength steel with a focus on energy management for safety. And what that means is, how do you convert all of that crush energy and heat over a widest period of time to minimize the G-pulse to the occupants and therefore improve their safety. So a lot of work has gone into choosing the right steels for each component to manage that crash event. Also, for the front subframe, we've increased the bushing size and stiffness to improve, again, driving dynamics. And we've, in the cowl area, added extra insulation and reduced all the openings, or what engineers call apertures, reduced the opening size So it reduces the pathways for noise where that noise can enter the cabin. Coefficient of drag, let's talk about that. We tie for best in industry for a mid-size car, a gasoline model, mid-size car. And we've done that not only through advanced body design that Chris was talking about, but also through extensive use of fairings in the underbody area. So we have virtually a completely faired underbody area of the car. There's a complete underbody fairing in the front area. There's a complete underbody fairing in the center area. And there's underbody fairings in the rear area to reduce turbulence and manage air flowing around the wheelhouse areas. And all of this contributes to this class-leading 2.7 CE number that we get here. And that's all about fuel economy. This is a way to maximize fuel economy, particularly at highway speeds. In terms of powertrain, significant re-engineering to both the turbo and non-turbo engines. For the non-turbo engine, the 2.4, we had previously a hydraulic or oil pump-driven continuously variable valve timing system. And of course, in those cold winter days we experienced this past year, oil gets very thick and congeals. And so the engine needs to warm up before that CVVT system works well. For the new engine, we have gone to an electric motor, electronically controlled CVVT system, a continuously variable valve timing system. So that allows much faster action. It allows a larger swing in terms of valve timing shift. It allows for a much later intake valve closing event. And so particularly on light cruising and coast down, it gives you similar characteristics to cylinder deactivation. So it reduces pumping losses by delaying that intake valve closing event. And I mentioned faster response time, which basically allows the engine to better respond to driver input. Again, a driver confidence thing. It also allows low temperature, better emissions performance. So with the old system, the CVVT system didn't work so well when the engine was cold, and therefore startup emissions were a little bit higher. With this new system, we have better startup emissions. Now we've changed the cylinder head too to increase coolant around the exhaust valve area, and what that does is lower NOx, and therefore it allows us to achieve better emissions level and better fuel economy as well. For the turbo engine, we've added an electric flap type valve in the intake manifold, and what that does is it allows the engine to create more turbulence in the intake tract at low engine speeds, which gives better fuel atomization, which is better basically initial acceleration feeling, improves drivability, bottom line. So you'll feel more power when you initially accelerate with this. At larger throttle openings, the valves completely opening, allowing a large quantity of air to enter, and that way allowing high horsepower output. Also the twin scroll turbo plumbing has been revised to improve torque at low RPM. So both engines you'll see in just a moment have really been focused on drivability and low-end torque improvement. And the wastegate actuator was changed to an electronic type from air type. So again, faster response time, works over a wider range of temperatures in a better fashion. So what you see in this chart is that in the green line, you'll see the focus on this re-engineering work for the 2.4 engine. What we did is we focused on improving the torque characteristics at the bottom end. These are the RPMs where the torque converter engages, so between about 1500 and 2000, that's when you get torque converter hookup. That's the initial feeling when you push the gas, you're at a stoplight. That's the initial G feeling or the initial acceleration. It's also very important for merging, for freeway merging, as well as passing. So again, the focus was on driver confidence, low-end torque gives better initial acceleration, better merging capability. Same with the 2-liter turbo engine. Again, you can see with the green line of focus on low-end torque. Again, between 1,000 and 1,500 RPM, a great improvement in terms of torque delivery, which gives it a much better takeoff from a stoplight and much better merging capability. We have an all-new powertrain you'll get a chance to drive today. So these are prototype vehicles. They'll be available a little bit later this summer. They'll be available, I believe, at lunchtime to drive. It's a 1.6 Eco powertrain. So this is a twin scroll turbo 1.6-liter engine made it to an all-new 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. This is the first vehicle in the Hyundai lineup to get this transmission. It's developed completely in-house by Hyundai. So the twin-scroll turbo gives us better response time in terms of torque buildup and acceleration. The engine develops 177 horsepower. The most important thing is its fuel economy. It's 32 combined fuel economy, 28 city, 38 highway. Excellent fuel economy numbers for this powertrain. It's a 10% improvement over the base 2.4-liter engine. The transmission I mentioned earlier is all new. Dual clutch transmission. So the way a dual clutch works very simply is it's got two concentric shafts, a shaft within a shaft. So imagine a soda straw with a shaft inside of it. And so each gear in a dual clutch transmission is pre-selected. So when I shift from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, all that's happening in the transmission is one clutch disengages and the other clutch engages. The gear is pre-selected. So you get very, very fast shift times. Because of the way the transmission is designed, there's very low friction, and it gives you the capability of much better fuel economy. You can see here between 6 and 7% of the fuel economy is delivered through this transmission design. And the acceleration time, because of the dual clutch nature and conventional gear setup, is 3 to 7% better than conventional automatic. So it works with, I said, two concentric shafts. All DCTs work basically that way. And two clutches, one's applying, one's unapplying each shift. Gear actuation is done through an electric servo motor. And then the clutch actuation also done with electric servo motor, so very high speed. We have a user selectable driver modes for this car. I think you've seen that in some of our previous models. In this case, it's important to note that the engine and transmission each have a unique tuning for the three modes, eco, normal, and sport. So for the engine and transmission, they each have a discrete mapping and tuning for those individual modes. For the steering, we have two modes. So there's a normal steering mode that's in the eco and normal position of that switch. And then we have a separate steering for the sport mode. So you can note that today as you test drive the vehicle. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to John Chun, and he's going to give you a little more detail about the car. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everyone. I didn't get the memo on the shirt, so I'm wearing a jacket today. In keeping with the modern and premium theme for this vehicle, a lot of modern lighting technologies is offered, such as LED daytime running lights and LED tail lights. Also, in keeping theme with the premium sporty theme, we have a panoramic sunroof, rear lip spoiler, and also quad exhaust is available on our Sport 2.0 T models. You know, in the mid-size car segment, safety is one of the key consideration drivers. You always see it as a top 5 purchase reason on why do you purchase their vehicle. And the 2015 Sonata does not disappoint by offering a wealth of new active and passive safety features that the previous model did not have. So features such as rear parking sensors, lane departure warning, forward collision warning, all increase drivers' peace of mind while helping them avoid an accident altogether. Blind spot detection system is a feature that we introduced with our 2014 model year Sonata. For our new 2015 Sonata, we have some plus alpha functions. Those being rear cross traffic alert, so when you're backing out of a parking spot, if a vehicle is coming on either side, they'll alert you. Also our lane change assist function, which we first debuted on our Genesis. So lane change assist essentially uses the same blind spot detection radar, but it looks beyond the blind spot detection zone. So if a car is coming in the lane at a high rate of speed, it'll let you know whether it's safe to change lanes at that particular time or not. Now, class above premium convenience features also add to the overall premium feel for the vehicle. Of the vehicle. So at Hyundai, we like to push the envelope a bit by offering features that are not typically found in that particular segment. Sonata is the same situation. Features that you don't normally expect in the mid-size car segment, such as smart cruise control with full stop and start capabilities, rear side window sunshades, which is a segment exclusive feature for us, heated steering wheel, and our innovative hands-free smart trunk open system is available. Some of the interior amenities that kind of contribute to the overall premium feel of the interior is power front seats, ventilated front seats, heated function for front and rear seat passengers, along with accent stitching on the instrument cluster hood and door panel inserts, and LED interior lights. There's 3 audio systems that are available on this on the 2015 Sonata. The bass audio is only available on our bass trim. That's only equipped on our bass trim. Every other trim is equipped with our 5-inch color touchscreen audio with rear view camera. Also, an 8-inch navigation system is available on all trims except for our very bass trim. A couple of the multimedia functions are BlueLink telematics, HD radio technology, and a 400-watt 10-speaker Infinity audio system. A little bit more about our navigation system. We first debuted it on our Genesis. It's our latest generation navigation. It's an 8-inch display with the brightness increased by about 33% for improved daytime visibility. Touch sensitivity has been improved, so now you could actually scroll, so it's more like a tablet in its operation. Some of the more advanced features is the system's ability to connect to a Wi-Fi network. And once connected to a Wi-Fi network, you could download apps such as Pandora Internet Radio or SoundHound. And perhaps the most important and exciting piece of new technology on this vehicle is smartphone integration. So whether that smartphone that you're using is an iPhone or a Google Android phone, we'll have a solution for you. So Apple CarPlay and the Google Android equivalent solution, which will be announced in about 3 hours from now. So you'll get more information on that later on today, or we'll contact you after the event with our press release. So Google also has a CarPlay equivalent, which will be offered on this vehicle. So that's later on this year. Both Apple CarPlay and Google Android solution will be offered on this by the end of the year. Also, it utilizes the latest Sirius XM chipset. So with that, the additional functionalities are Travel Link, which has everything from traffic, weather, sports, movie times. And also, probably the most interesting feature is Tune Start. So anytime you go to one of your preset stations, it plays a song from the beginning of that song, so you don't have to go in through a middle. And also, there's a recording function for your presets 1 through 6. So you could record any song or talk station that you want. Sonata will continue to offer BlueLink Connected Care on its vehicle. It's been enhanced for our navigation system. There is now Assurance Car Care in-vehicle app, so it's within the navigation system. And in that app, you can look at everything from the owner's manual, schedule maintenance, or even call roadside assistance. Also, destination search has been improved. Now, all destination searches, POIs, are powered by Google's search engine. And in addition, you could, once you download a POI, you could use a smartphone app or log on to myhyundai.com and send that destination straight to your car. Changing gears now, talking a little bit about our trim strategy. So the top boxes show our outgoing model, 2014 model year, and in blue is our new Sonata 2015. What was previously called GLS for the base trim is now called SE. What was previously called SC is now called Sport. So all we're doing is we're calling it out, we're spelling it out for the customer so it's easier for them to understand. Also, before we had the SC and Limited 2.0T models. Those have been consolidated into one trim called Sport 2.0T. And we also have a very new trim here, the Eco trim, which is our 1.6-liter turbo GDI mated to a 7-speed DCT. A little bit on the packaging details. So you take into account all those features that we offer on this vehicle, plus 3 powertrain options, and there's 12 buildable combinations in total. The SE is the base trim. You could get a popular equipment package on top of that. In particular, the sport trim that you see on the right, that has all the sport exterior items, so the different grille, lower bumper insert, dual exhaust, side rocker panel extensions. So all the sport exterior item bells and whistles that's available on the Sonata. The Eco trim, the base model is equipped very similarly to the base sport without the exterior items. The technology package adds interior amenities such as navigation, leather seats, push button start. Sonata is available in 9 different exterior colors. A couple of the more on-trend colors our designers tell us about is dark truffle, which is a very rich, dark coffee brown, nouveau blue, and urban sunset. Urban sunset is only available on our 2.0T models. There's 4 interior color themes that are available on all trims except for the Sport 2.0T. On a Sport 2.0T, you could either get black or gray. And the rectangles that you see on the lower portion of the slide, those are the accent trims, accent pieces for the particular trim and interior. For example, if you get the Sport, you'll get a carbon fiber look interior accent, and if you get the Limiteds, you'll get a wood grain interior accent. You know, the mid-size car segment is extremely competitive. Talked a little bit about that earlier. Everyone brings their A game, puts their best foot forward. Value is an extremely important purchase consideration reason. It's probably number 2 after quality, reliability, durability. Sonata is known for having great value, but for 2015 model year, we wanted to enhance that more. So not only do you get the new exterior and interior design that Chris Chapman mentioned earlier, and the chassis refinement that Michael O'Brien mentioned, you get new features such as LED DRLs, driver's knee airbag, rear lip spoiler, high-adjust passenger seats. So you get a lot more features as standard equipment, but in order to further enhance our value proposition, MSRP has been decreased by $300. So over the outgoing model that started at $21,450, the new model now starts at $21,150. A quick summary on the MSRP for the 12 loadable combinations. So the column on the left is all the 2.4 liter models. So it starts at $21,150, and if you get the limited with ultimate package, it tops out at $31,575. Our Sport 2.0T models start at $28,575, and with all the bells and whistles that's available on this car, it tops out at $33,525. And the Eco 1.6 starts at $23,275. A little note on the Eco positioning. We've been asked, how is the Eco positioned within the Sonata lineup? If you look at the starting MSRP, it's very similar to the standard Sport. The Sport being $23,175, and the Eco being $100 more than that. What we're doing is we're giving customers a choice. So if they're more sport-oriented, performance-oriented, they can go for the Sport trim. If they're more efficiency-minded, they have the option to purchase the Eco trim. Hyundai's always been known for providing a very strong value for the customers. And if we compare Sonata SE versus competitors' equivalents, we enjoy nearly $1,000 MSRP advantage. But not just having an MSRP advantage, we offer more content to the customers as well. When we look at the limited trim, that Hyundai's price advantage increases to about $1,700, while also, again, offering more equipment than our competitors. So, in summary, these are the key 4 pillars that we want you to kind of remember as you drive this vehicle. It's modern and confident design that reflects Hyundai's Floating Sculpture 2.0 design language. It has confidence-inspiring ride quality, NVH handling, and occupant safety. Advanced safety technologies that are not typically found, and thoughtful features that help enhance the premium feel of this vehicle. So it's things such as smart cruise control, hands-free trunk open, and also smartphone integration. So whether it's Apple CarPlay or a Google Android equivalent, this vehicle would offer. So with that, I'd like to invite Dave, Chris, Mike, and VP Wang for a Q&A.
Well, we're getting set up for the Q&A. Just a couple of quick comments on the tour we'll embark on after the Q&A session. Outside, when you get out in the carts, you'll have headsets and safety glasses. You'll be instructed on when to have those on. It's a really great tour. You'll be able to hear everything perfectly. Lori's asked that you sit with your driving partner on the tram, just to make it easier. We will be departing from a special area we set up at the back of the plant on it'll give you the feel of, the assembly line moving. These cars have been prepped for today's drive. They have a couple hundred miles on them from yesterday's drive. But I think it's kind of a fun way for us to start the drive with you actually leaving from the plant. Try not to eat while you're on the tram. You take photos though, the tram will not be stopping. Photos along the way are fine. So with that, who wants to start with the first question? Yes?
I have a question about steering systems. You've got dual steering systems, are these electric or hydraulic systems?
Dual systems or electric. One, the motor assist is on the steering column, which is, that basic design is carry over from the old Sonata. And that's been re-engineered to improve turn-in feel and non-center feel through stiffening up the column as well as the rack itself. The second system, which is on the turbo models, is a rack-mounted power steering motor. The motor's mounted on the rack, and that basically cuts out all the stack-up tolerances that could add to vagueness or could make the car less confident. So while both systems are great, the rack-mounted motor-driven system that's on the turbo is even better. So it just gives a more sporty feeling.
Why not use the rack mount on all of them?
Price. So as John Shun mentioned, probably the number 2 reason people shop these cars is a good value. And we could offer it standard, but of course it would bring up the base MSRP substantially.
And another thing is, we wanted to differentiate the Sport 2.0 T model, so that's why we, not in addition to price, we wanted to differentiate the models a little bit more.
Just to follow up, are who the suppliers of these systems?
We have to follow up with you on that, so we'll check on that and let you know.
The supplier is a company called Mondo, MANGO, for both systems.
Mondo. Alex?
Is there a ratio difference between the sport model's steering rack and the other one, or is it just purely the way the assist is mounted?
Steering ratio, I have to verify, but off the top of my head, the steering ratio is the same. So are they the same? They are the same.
Gene?
Yeah, you talk about all the new safety systems that are in this car now. Is there any new to the entire category system? Is there anything groundbreaking?
That's a great question. Lane change assist, where it's the plus alpha function. But more so than having just one feature that no one else has, we have the most, among our competitors, we have the most comprehensive set of features. So
the question really is about, is lane change assist, did you say that it actually measures closing away to the car on the other lane?
yes, so for example, if a car is barreling down that lane at a fast rate of speed, it'll tell you whether or not it'll advise you whether it's a good
So you don't
time to change.
believe that's in any other vehicle? That's not something I'm...
Right now, from all the research that we've done, you just have a blind spot detection function where it just looks at the blind spot zone.
Michael?
I was just going to suggest a feature that tells people when it's okay to move into the right lane because it's open and you're holding up traffic.
That's duly noted.
You'll experience that in the drive today.
You said late availability on the 1.6 DCT, what's late availability?
August production, be in showrooms in September. So
Okay.
we have a little bit of a staggered launch. The SC we built in May. We start with the turbo, I think, in July. We start with the 1.6. We have the Sport in June, turbo in July, and then the 1.6 in August. So all the SCs are in dealer showrooms right now. We started shipping them at the end of May, and you'll have 1.6s in late September probably in dealer showrooms.
And I thought I heard DCT was all developed in-house.
That's correct.
Is it strictly designed for the 1.6, or do you see that availability spreading across the other powertrains, the other engines?
Well, this is the first application of it.
Can it handle the 2.4 power?
Yeah, it's uncertain at this point. We normally don't talk about our future plans, but normally many of our transmissions have application beyond a single engine, so it's possible.
Rick?
Yeah, what else is that transmission they use a 7-speed with, what other models?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What other models have a 7-speed?
This is the very first model, so this is a debut model for this new transmission, transaxle assembly.
Alex?
I was gonna ask, is the hybrid making a return, or is it just on?
Yes, we will, we're gonna continue to sell the existing 2014 hybrid. We will come out with a new hybrid for this body style. It'll be less than a year from now.
So for the 2015 model year, you'll have the old style Sonata hybrid and the new Sonata LF, and then within a year, we'll have the same body style.
Jake?
Are you using NVIDIA for your nav system technology? You're using NVIDIA?
Video processing.
Yeah.
NVIDIA.
Yeah. We'll have to check it.
We'll have to verify.
Sorry?
Ariel?
Are you gonna be able to switch between Apple and Android, or is that once you get it, you got it, and not gonna work?
No, the navigation system